Sorry, you guys, we had some technical issues here. And if you look at academia, getting back to what is RPA, academia and some of the most notable academian people working with RPA is Willcocks and Lacity, and they say that it's tools that automate tasks that have defined rules, structured data, and produce deterministic outcomes. That's a pretty high level and not very common layman terms, so let's try to look at the more technological definition of it. It's an umbrella term, and it's somehow a tool that kind of automates element identification and not by screen coordinates. And if you look at Microsoft, one of the large suppliers of RPA tools, what they say is that it's a tool that can connect all the new systems and reduce repetitive tasks using UI-based automation. So I think we're quite good covered with these three definitions. What is RPA? And then the really interesting thing is, let's look at a robot. Here is a really common or a very simple use case. It's we imagine that we are a car dealer and want to get some more detailed information about several cars in our portfolio. He has a list of unique registration numbers of the cars, so the number plate of the car, and he wants to have an overview in Excel. Let's start the robot here. That doesn't work in this presentation, of course. This would have been a robot working. We're having some technical issues here, I'm really sorry, but this is a robot working in the UI, and he wants to have an overview in Excel. You have to have this demonstration at another live session one day. I'm really sorry for this. He gets to get his all his number plates back in the Excel, and he has a complete overview, and by that he gets many hours back to his business where he can work on selling cars and making his customers happy instead, and he also gets increased quality. So why should you use RPA? I think you can say that there are three types of value. You have value for your organization, for your customer, and also for your employees. The most common value to look at is the organizational value. That is, you save money, you save time, you improve quality, and you also improve productivity. That's the obvious part. That's return on investment on your investment in working with RPA. The two other value drivers are more overlooked when working with RPA. One of them is that you actually get to give a bit better service to your customers. Excuse me. And they are very much more satisfied because you are available day and night, because your robots can work any day. They don't have vacations or take time off. And then your customers are more satisfied and they want to come back and have a better relationship with you as a company. Then the last part is the employee value. The value of the employees are that they get to have a better toolbox. They feel that they are more innovative when working, when they don't have to do all these mundane, repetitive tasks. They get to use the right side of their brain instead of the left, just producing and producing and producing. And ultimately, they want to stay in their job because they are satisfied with their tasks and the tools that they have been given by you as an employee. Why should you use RPA and how should you use it? My experience from building several hundreds of robots shows that this is some of the most common use cases. The white parts are the human interaction and the gray part is where the robot is working. The first and the second are very much the same. It's just when the robot is working. Either the robot is gathering input and then the human makes the transaction based on the input gathered by the robot. Or the next one is the opposite, so the human is gathering something, making some decisions and asking the robot to process and finalize the task. And then there is the most common use case for RPA when you talk to people, and that is automating the easy wins or the highway of cases. So let's aim for 50 or 80% of the iterations of a given task, and then you have a robot to execute that. The last 10-20% you can have a human work with. And then we come to a more new kind of robot, which is the assisting robot, so a digital assistant. You could assume instead of having an assistant sitting next to you, you have a digital assistant. So you do some work, then maybe you have to go to lunch or you go home by the end of the day and you ask your robot to produce some work while you are not sitting by your desk. And when you come back either from lunch or in the next day, The robot has done all the tedious, mundane work, and you can keep on working with your task. I personally think that is the future also for RPA, where we see it together with us humans. Then we have the last one, which is the one we all would want to find cases like that. That is that you have a number of given tasks, and you can create a robot that automates 100% of them. But I'm sorry to burst your illusion, you're not going to find many of them. Excuse me. We're just going to take some water. Been teaching too much this week, so my voice is losing. So, who can actually use RPA? Who can get started on working with RPA? When I started back in 2015, sorry, the people that could actually work with the RPA tools were only professional developers. So that would be engineers, IT programmers, or people with experience with object-oriented programming. That has changed over the last few years, and now you can both be a professional but also a citizen developer. And I think that we don't have to say that one excludes the other. They can live in coexistence and make sure that we build the best RPA solutions. For if you're joining as a citizen developer, you can definitely use RPA to create personal productivity. And as a non-citizen developer, a more professional developer, you can use RPA in a more advanced way. So the great way today is that we are more people that can get to use with RPA. Personally, I'm not a professional developer, so I'm really happy that the tools are getting to a maturity level where I can also work with RPA and try to build my own robots. In the early days, it was too technical and too difficult for someone like me. How do you get started with RPA? First of all, you need to find an RPA tool. And then the best part about the RPA tools is that there is a ginormous community around each tool. You can go to each community for the tool, or you can go to public pages or Discords or communities in LinkedIn or different other social medias. Microsoft has made it really easy to get started with RPA, making the Power Automate for desktop and Power Automate available from Windows 11 for free. And if you are not on 11 yet, you can just go there and download it for free as well. I think that's a big benefit for the community of the citizen developers. And then the basic thing you only need to do is you need to find an idea. And my best advice is try to look at your everyday work and find the tasks that you think are annoying. If you have an annoying task that you do each day or maybe twice a week, try to build a robot. And the best advice from me is just start building. Every time you encounter a problem, go to Google or one of the communities and post your question. And there are so many eager developers out there ahead of you and your learning curve that will help you. And then really fast, within weeks, you can have an increased personal productivity, and you also have new skills in your backpack and in your career development from today. So my best advice is to just get started. And then just on a final for fun note here, on the right side, you see a screenshot of Microsoft Excel version 2.0 from October 1987. I was 6 months old back then. But if we imagine today that we're sitting in 1987, try to replace the word RPA in this entire presentation with the word Excel. That would be quite fun, right? Yes. I am 100% sure, to be honest, in my personal opinion, that RPA will be in the future for you and me, like Excel was for people back in 87. I'm quite sure people thought it was revolutionary, and it made their personal productivity very, very much better, and it gave them new skills. RPA is on the same path, making it available for so many people in the Windows platform, and making all of us able to learn new skills and be more productive. That is basically the words that I wanted to give you today. Now I hope we can have a discussion in the chat. And also you are more than welcome to go to my LinkedIn and connect, and also to our YouTube and do whatever and post all your questions and connect. That would be really fun. I don't think we have any questions, do we? No? And thank you for viewing.